I come in with SSX3 and a PS2 and everyone's heads just turn.
Hey, how's it going? Seagull480 here. This is one from the archives. I found this recording on my phone. I filmed it like 2 years ago and I never uploaded it. I was thinking about re-recording it with the same points because I think all the points still stand for me, but I thought I'll just upload it as it is. It's a bit rough because I think I recorded it as more of a concept intentionally to re-record it, so it's just on the phone. It was like an evening after work, I just set it up and just kind of did it all in one go. So I've tried to salvage the audio the best I can, and all the points I made are still the same reasons why I don't emulate now. So I know it's a bit different, but I hope you enjoy this one.
So I choose to play retro games on older consoles rather than emulating. And in this video, I'm going to go over the main 3 reasons why I do that. To start with, I'm just going to say I'm not going to really talk about performance here. I think it's really up to a personal preference thing. You know, some argue that emulating gives better performance. Others will talk about keeping true to the developer's vision on the original hardware. For me, I could go either side. I'm really kind of in the middle of that argument. Point one, and it kind of concludes as just the overall fun of collecting something. With downloading ROMs, you just have this endless sea. Every game is in front of you. Every game is available with a few clicks to download, and that bombardment, that kind of endless scape, is a reason why I got into retro gaming, was to kind of get away from that. I felt like with PC gaming, looking at your Steam library, you just have so many options available. Although I suppose that's not really a good point because you have an army of games after you've bought them. But that's maybe off topic then. But the fun of actually going out and hunting something down, something you've got in your mind, or even something you weren't expecting to see at a shop like a retro game store or even a charity shop here in the UK. You go in with no expectation, you see something and you're so intrigued by it, you have to pick it up and play it. And I just don't think you could ever capture that with a file. There's no like exploring with a file, with ROMs for emulation. You have to already know what it is you want to go and download, which I think is the bit that's fun, is finding new things. I mean, I think taking the chance and buying a game that sucks is worth the effort, and it makes, when you find a game you've never heard of and it's awesome, it makes it so much more enjoyable. I think an example here is a game that I use purely as a backstop for my gaming row of PS2 games. Jet Iron GP for the PS2. I'm a big Wipeout fan. I think Wipeout's one of my favourite franchises. I just love it for loads of reasons. So I see a cover like Jet Iron GP. In fact, I will show you the comparison. This is Wipeout Fusion. It's not one of the best ones, but you see these covers and you think, oh, that must be similar. That'll be enjoyable. That'll be fun. Then you play it and you go, oh no, that sucks. That sucks ass. So to conclude on point one there, the thrill and the fun of collecting is something that with emulation you just don't get. So the second point for me is, again, something very specific to myself, is the just visual aesthetic of retro game consoles and game collecting. Something about having it, laid out neatly in front of you. You can see the shape and design of the console, and the same with the individual cases for the games. You see the cover art, you have the manuals inside, you posters, postcards. You just can observe it, and when you're seeing it, that's everything you're seeing. Someone made that decision, that design decision. Every curve, every line, someone thought that's where that needs to go. And not only did they think that, but they went through that manufacturing process to create the metal dies that you're extruding the plastic into. Maybe I'm just geeking out on design right now, and this isn't something most people think about. But something I think about. Every time I look at it, I think, I kind of, I don't know, almost like my mind just zaps into someone else's mind, the designer, and I think, I wonder what that designer thought when they were going through that process, and almost, if I stare at it long enough, then I might understand the designer's mindset, the designer's point of view. And again, something you only get with collecting the consoles themselves. Okay, so the final point for this topic is the shared memories. I grew up with the PS2, was the main console for me, and so that's my age bracket. So other people I know my age also grew up with the PS2. So if you're older, it'll be a different console. If you're younger, it'll be a different console yet. But it's the shared memory that you have around things. So not only overall, almost like generationally with different consoles, which I'll come back to, but specific events. To tie back into the first point about the fun of collecting, and also to talk about Wipeout again. This copy of Wipeout 3, although very battered and, dare I say, mutilated, I picked it up at MCM Comic Con with my friends. It was a event I wasn't really planning on going to. Someone suggested it, and I thought, oh, yeah, okay, sure. I kind of got persuaded into it. Ended up having a really good time. It was a really enjoyable, experience. It was the first thing like that I'd been to, and so now I have this associated with that. So every time I play Wipeout 3, which is my favourite of the Wipeout games, not only am I playing that on the original hardware, and I get to enjoy the aesthetic and all that kind of stuff, I also have the memory tied to it every time I get to play. So I think to expand on that as well, to go back to more the idea of the shared, almost generational memory with some of these consoles. This Christmas just gone, in our office, it's very quiet, and people just kind of bring in their Switches, Steam Decks, things like that. And I brought in my PS2, and I brought in a game that I have, SSX3, is the one I decided to bring in, and I came into the office after other people. So there was the people there with the Steam Deck, people there with the Switch, and I come in with SSX3 and a PS2, and everyone's heads just turn, and it just clicks, that memory tied to it. Everyone I work with my age who has memories of this game, it's just on another level. Of course, I could have loaded it up on an emulator, but having that on point 2, that visual aesthetic is so closely tied to your feelings of it. It's not just that the game exists and that's what your good memory is. That's what the memory of a good time is. It's everything associated with that physical object as well. Sight, hearing, smell. Not that I think people are smelling my PS2. Hopefully, maybe when my back was turned, they were getting a quick sniff in. All of that's what brings back your kind of nostalgia and your memory. And yeah, I had a queue of people sat next to me, all waiting to play SSX on the PS2. If you're wondering what I'm reaching down to there to the side of me, that's my gaming station, which I have a video tour on, which would be a pretty good video to watch next after this one. So that concludes this video. I just kind of wanted to ramble on, which I think I succeeded in rambling on. So there you go. Bye bye.